This one of the most common tropes on the left in the US, and it's probably been believed by most people, is that cops in the US kill a lot of black people. You know, they're just desperate. They're out with their guns. They're just desperate, left and right, with their gun drawn like a cowboy, just desperate to just clip one of these black hoodlums. Think about it yourself. How many black people do you think have been killed in the US by cops so far this year? How many unarmed black people have been killed by cops in the US so far this year? Be honest. Come up with a number. According to the Washington Post, who keeps an independent count of this number, and The Guardian stopped doing this because it massively undermined their narrative, which is the one I just gave you. Wouldn't surprise me if the Washington Post stopped doing this as well, because it undermines the narrative. 829 people in total in the US have been killed by cops. 167 were black, 8 were black and unarmed. 8. And of those, some of them were doing things likely to get you killed. 167 out of 829. The vast majority of people in the US killed by cops this year were white. How many of them have you heard about? Probably 0. How many black people in the US being killed by cops have you heard about this year? Probably quite a few. That's weird, isn't it? Seeing as far more white people are killed by cops than black people. This is evil. This is evil on a number of levels, and it demonstrates the way white guilt has taken over Western and especially US society. It's bullshit. Black people have far more interaction with the cops in the US because they commit far more crime than any other group. 50% of all US murders are committed by 3.5% of the population, black men. 3.5% of the population commit 50% of the murders. There's similar statistics for most crimes, most violent crimes committed disproportionately by black people. Black people committing violent crimes against white people is far higher than the other way around. Black people just commit a lot of crime. These are facts. I am just stating facts. But the narrative is that there's lots of innocent black people out there constantly getting shot by cops, constantly getting abused by cops. Are there some racist cops who abuse black people? There must be. But this is not the reality of the situation. Cops rarely kill anyone. And they very rarely kill black people. The problem with this perception, well, there's many problems with this perception. One is it stops black people trusting cops because they believe the bullshit, because most people don't look up these statistics. So they think cops are out to kill them, and they could be killed by a cop at any point. There's a traffic stop, the cop's going to kill me. He's not going to kill. It's basically impossible to get killed by a cop in a traffic stop if you're black or any race. Virtually no one ever gets killed in traffic stops. You are multiple orders of magnitude more likely to be killed by being struck by lightning. Multiple orders of magnitude more likely to be killed by being struck by lightning than by being killed by a cop in a traffic stop. Especially if you're unarmed. And if you're unarmed and you behave, it's probably less likely you'll get killed by a cop than there are a number of grains of sand on every beach in the world. You could be black, you behave well, you're unarmed, you're just not going to get killed by a cop. It's not going to happen. Even in the worst videos people surface about, look at this black victim getting killed by a cop. Even in those, the hand-selected videos of cops doing stupid shit, the person is probably drunk, they've probably gone for the cop's gun, they're probably a known criminal, they're probably resisting arrest, they're probably giving the cop lots of verbal abuse, they're probably doing all sorts of shit. And sure, mate, sometimes the cops do make small mistakes, but boy, have you got to be a dumb fuck to get yourself shot by a cop. You've got to do a series of incredibly stupid things. And even then, 8 black people, unarmed black people, have been killed by cops. This year, in the whole of the United States, country has 320 million people in it. It's, you've just got to be a fucking moron. Black people are getting killed disproportionately less than white people. But and this has several knock-on effects. One of them is that black people believe this bullshit, so they don't trust cops. So when a crime is committed in their neighborhood, there's an honor culture. There's a culture of, well, don't help the cops. So the crimes are less likely to be solved because there's no witnesses. So the criminals that should be in jail go on to commit other crimes. Who's the victim of that crime? Black people, because they live in the same neighborhood as these criminals. That this spiral just keeps going. Black people lose here. So this lie, this perpetual fake victimhood narrative applied to black people in the US, this hurts black people the most. In this area, it hurts black people the most. It's also bad for cops, because cops are then fair game. So it gives morons a moral reason to be able to kill cops because they think they're doing something good. Because cops are all fucking racists, which of course they're not. There's no evidence of that. That's another bad thing that comes from it. Another negative consequence that comes from this is, even when there's body cam footage of a cop killing someone as a last resort when there's nothing else they can do, that body cam footage is often spun by bullshit, fake news, ridiculous extremist clickbait channels like the Young Turks and other fucking morons. It's chopped up. They miss out certain facts, like the cop shooting the person committing the crime there. That cop's also black. Yeah, they'll just ignore that point. These fake news fuckery channels of they're just trying to stoke up racial violence. They're trying to stoke up a race war to get a few dollars. That's what the Young Turks do. The Young Turks lie to stoke up a race war which could end the West in order to earn a few bucks on a click because they're losing money. Makes you think, doesn't it? Yeah, the problem is cops, when arresting anyone black, even if they have a body cam, and all cops should have a body cam, even if they're worried, they hesitate, they're worried to do it because they know if it's a black person they kill, there's going to be all sorts of bullshit advocacy groups defending this multiple rapist, defending this bank robber who's already served time for bank robbing, this person who's assaulted and robbed 50 people. There'll be some bullshit narrative with some bullshit black advocacy group going, that cop, he executed this black man. It's a black man. He executed him. No, that black man went for his gun, tried to take the cop's gun, and that's why the cop fucking killed him. And by the way, he was also extremely high on some drug that made him fucking insane. But all cops know now, if you kill someone who's black, or you shoot someone who's black, there's going to be protests, there's going to be all sorts of bullshit, regardless of the guilt. You also see this phenomenon with black prisoners on death row. You know, multiple convicted rapists getting celebrity endorsement because they're guilty, because some criminal confessed in another jail, and now suddenly that's all you need to know. That you just need to go on the word of a criminal who confessed to the same crime, who had nothing to lose and probably quite a lot to gain in another prison. But I digress. So this lie that cops routinely kill, shoot, execute, are just hideously racist against black people, that lie should be stopped by anyone who hears it. But instead it's casually propagated. You never, extremely rarely, hear any pushback against this casual idea that cops in the US are just executing black people because everyone's too scared to fucking... If you have an opinion on race that isn't everyone's racist against black people, being black's so hard, the victimhood. If you have any opinion on this subject that isn't that, you could lose your job, you'll be called racist. The whole apparatus of fuck whites will come after you and you'll be fucked. And even if you're black, you'll be called a race traitor and much, much worse words than that, just for speaking truth. Cops have killed 8 unarmed black people in the whole of the US this year, and it's nearly December. 8. This not only is this narrative not true, not only do black people commit far more crime, they are killed by cops disproportionately in quite largely disproportionately lower amounts, even before you take into account their far higher crime rate. It's a complete bullshit narrative. And by propagating it, if you just make casual comments along these lines, you are propagating something that harms non-white communities. It harms black communities the most for the reasons I just outlined. If police are alienated from a community, that community suffers because criminals are not dealt with. They're not dealt with because they're not brought to justice because there's no witnesses, and they're not dealt with because cops are hesitant to shoot people that need to be shot. The trope that cops kill black people with impunity willy-nilly, it's just bullshit. They kill far more white people. Yeah, black people commit far more crime. It's just not true. Cops kill almost nobody. This has to be destroyed. This ridiculous narrative has to be destroyed because only extremely bad things are coming from it. So I strongly suggest to you that you help in the fight to rid the world of this ludicrous misinformation. I think most people probably believe this is true, especially black people. A lot of black people are genuinely worried that if a cop pulls them over, they could just get shot in the head. I mean, they're fucking morons to actually think this. But when you're bombarded with just fake news propaganda, sensationalized propaganda to get clicks, the news isn't there to inform you. It's there to big up whatever news happens in order to get money, as we know. We must rid the world of this just bullshit, extremely dangerous, counterproductive, propagandist nonsense immediately.
This was the Deviant Developer Podcast. Tap subscribe in any podcast app to never miss an episode. To contact me or make a welcome donation, go to thedeviantdeveloper.com.